Hello everyone, I'm Leela Prabhugarkar and I'm from the Bodhi Academy. So today we'll learn about demand analysis, wherein we'll be learning about law of demand, movements and shift in demand curve, and market demand. So introduction. So we all demand or we all need a different kinds of goods and services for the satisfaction of our wants. So in this chapter we'll try to cover what are the related aspects of demand, okay, and what factors are which affects the demands for a commodity, and why and how does our demand change, and how are demand for different commodities related to each other. Now, the first thing is the concept of demand. Demand is something like we often think demand and desire are synonymous to each other. So these both are distinct, okay, these are separate. So desire refer to those wishes that a human being cherishes, such as walking on a moon, to be a billionaire, to buy Rolls Royce, etc. And these wishes may not be always backed by enough finance to realize. So, however, when a desire is backed with a sufficient purchasing power, along with the consumer's readiness to spend on materializing the wish, the desire becomes demand. So, demand is something like a willingness to buy, we can say, willingness to buy. So, demand demand is something like, if we can say that it's a willingness to buy, okay, willingness 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 to buy, okay. So, demand for a commodity refers to the quantity of a commodity that a consumer is willing and is able to purchase at a particular price at any particular point of time. Now, here we have to understand with regards to demand and quantity demanded. So, for a consumer, demand for a particular commodity, it basically represents the relation between the price and the quantity. So, demand is basically, it shows as a relation between a price and commodity and the quantity that he is willing and is able to purchase. So, in other words, how much quantity of a particular commodity will a consumer purchase is likely to depend on the price, other things such income of the consumer, taste and preferences, and other things are remaining constant. Okay, so at this point we can distinguish between quantity demanded and demand. So, demand for a commodity refers to the various quantities of a commodity that a consumer is willing to purchase at a various possible prices. For example, when a consumer demands for a 2 kg of sugar at rupees 210 per kg and 3 kg of sugar at 8 per kg. So, on the other hand, quantity demanded of a commodity, it refers to the particular quantity of a commodity that a consumer is willing to purchase at a specific price of the commodity. So, for example, a consumer demand 1 kg of sugar at rupees 11 per kg. Then, here we have to understand with regards to demand schedule. This is the demand schedule, which is a tabular representation, and it shows a relation between price and quantity demanded. Okay. Demand schedule shows a relation between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so the price of a commodity and the quantity demanded of that commodity at a particular point of time. In other words, it shows the different quantities of a commodity that a consumer is willing to purchase at different possible prices. Demand schedule, it can be further divided as individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. So individual demand schedule Individual demand schedule, it is prepared for a particular consumer, okay, and it presents the various quantities of a particular commodity that a consumer is willing to purchase at different possible prices at a particular point of time. Example, consider the following demand schedule for a commodity X. So price of a commodity is given on given in this, and quantity demanded of a commodity is given on this individual demand schedule. So if you can see the if you can make the analysis of the above schedule, it reveals that quantity demanded of a commodity, it holds a negative relation with the price. So if you can see, it shows that at higher price quantity demanded of X falls. So at higher price demand is less, and at lower price demand is more. For example, as the price increases from 10 to 15, the quantity demanded falls from 100 to 50 units. So here from individual demand schedule, individual schedule, price and quantity demanded. When price is 10, quantity demanded, here if you can see, it is 100. So when price is less, quantity demand is more. Okay, when the price is, let's suppose the price is 50, here when the price is 30, here demand is less. So when the price is 50, demand is less. Okay, so when price is more, demand, quantity demand is less. Okay, so this is what we have to understand with regards to individual demand schedule. Then market demand schedule. So here we know that market for a commodity consists of a large number of consumers, and the market demand schedule, unlike the individual demand schedule, it shows the aggregate, like means the total demand for all the consumer in the market at different prices. So example, here we have considered a hypothetical market which consists of only two consumers demanding a commodity X. The market demand schedule for X can be represented as price, quantity demanded by consumer 1, quantity demanded by consumer 2. So here we have taken the various consumer and how much they are demanding according to the price. So when the price is 10, consumer 1 demand for 5 units, consumer 2 demands for 6 units. So the total market demand here is 11. When price is rupees 52, consumer 1 demand for 2, consumer 2 demand for 3. So again the market demand is 5. So if we can see, when the price is less, market demand is more, right? And when the price is more, market demand for a commodity is less. Then the next thing what we have to understand over here is demand function. The demand for a commodity, it depends on different variables, like there are different variables which beside the price of that particular commodity, and the relation between these variables and the demand for a commodity, it can be expressed in a functional form. Known as demand function. The demand function can be of two types, individual demand and market demand function. So individual demand function, an individual demand function, it expresses the relation between quantity demanded by an individual consumer and various determinants. The following are the major determinants of individual demand for a good. So these are the different determinants which are as follows. First one is price of the good, then price of other goods, that is the substitute and the complementary goods, then income of the consumer, and consumer taste and preferences. So based on this, all these factors, the individual demand function, it can be represented as demand is equal to function of price of good, then price of other goods, that is py, and income is denoted as y, and consumer taste and preferences is denoted as t over here. So these are the all these things which so this is how we can show the individual demand function. Then there are determinants of individual demand. Now which are the different determinants? These are the different determinants of individual demand. So price of good X, other things it remains constant over here. As the price of good rises or as the price of good falls, quantity demanded of the particular good falls or sometimes it rises. Thus, price of good and its quantity demanded share a negative relationship. So this is important over here, that price of a good and quantity demanded shows a negative relation. Then price of other goods. Which are the other goods which are mentioned here? Like quantity demanded of a good also depends on the price of other goods, that is related goods. Other goods here means the related goods. Any two goods are considered to be related to each other when the demand for one good changes in response to the change in price of the other good. The related goods can be classified into following two categories. The first one is substitute goods. Substitute goods, it refers to those goods that can be substituted for each other, like tea and coffee, Colgate and Pepsodent, cello pens or Renault pens. So in case of substitute goods, if the price of one good increases, the consumer shift his demand to other goods, and rise in price of one good result in a rise in demand of the other good and vice versa. So for example, if price of tea increases, then the demand for tea will decrease. As a result, consumer will shift their consumption towards coffee. So these are substitute goods which can be substituted for each other. Then the next one is complementary goods. Complementary goods, it refers to those goods that are consumed together. Okay, those goods which are consumed together. The joint consumption of these goods satisfies the want of the consumer, like tea and sugar, ink and pen, printer and paper. These are some of the goods which are used together, or some goods which are consumed together. So in case of complementary goods, if the price of one good increases, then a consumer reduces his demand. If the price of one good increases, then consumer is going to reduce his demand. Okay, consumer will reduce his demand for the complementary good as well. That is, a rise in price of one good result in a fall in a demand of the other goods. So this is with regards to your complementary goods. Complementary goods. Okay, then for example, sugar and tea are complementary goods. Since sugar and tea consumed together, so a rise in price of tea reduces the demand for sugar and vice versa. So it should be noted that demand for a good moves in the opposite direction of the price of its complementary goods. Then the next thing is with regards to income of the consumer. So change in income of the consumer also affects the demand for goods. The effect of change in income on the demand, it depends on the type of the goods. Like there are normal goods which shows a positive relation with the consumer income. As income increases, the demand for normal goods also increases. Then there are inferior goods like coarse cereals and all, which shows a negative relation with the consumer income. Then given goods which are very highly inferior, and it is similar to the inferior goods. Demand for given goods also shares a negative relation with the income. So all given goods are inferior goods, but not all inferior goods are given goods over here. Then these are the types of goods, and relation with the price and relation with the income is mentioned. So demand for inferior goods, a relation with the price is negative, relation with income it is also negative. Then types of good, demand for given goods, relation with the price it is positive, relation with income it is negative. Then the next is consumer taste and preferences. So consumer taste and preferences, it highly influences demand for goods. So always the consumer's taste and preferences is goes on changes, and taste and preferences, these are the factors such as the habits, religious customs, etc. Other things being equal, if a consumer prefers a commodity over other, then his demand for that commodity increases and vice versa. So this is with regards to your determinants of individual demand, and also we saw the demand function, demand schedule, and the meaning of demand. So for the next class we'll see with regards to market demand function. Okay, thank you for watching my video.